Right, Andy XL back with another NFXL podcast, and the second of my 8 pieces looking at the NFL divisions post the draft. So this time we're in the AFC North, and let's start with the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens' needs pre-draft were at center, guard, wide receiver, tight end, defensive tackle, edge, and running back, and made moves in all of these areas bar center. Their first 4 picks were Vega Ione at guard, Zion Young at edge, and 2 wide receivers in Jacoby Lane and Elijah Sarrett, who will compete with the likes of Rashad Bateman, Tez Walker to be the wide receiver 2 and 3 behind Zay Flowers. They also added 2 tight ends in Matt Hibner and Josh Cuevas, who will need to fill the gap left by Isaiah Likely's departure. Adam Randall was the owner's pick and may turn out to be a really good one as backup to Derek Henry. Randall was one of my potential mid-round steals I highlighted pre-draft. Chandler Rivers at cornerback, Evan Bernstein at guard, and defensive tackle Rayshawn Benny are solid depth additions, and they also took a rookie punter in Ryan Eckley, which was another need for them. Centre, though, remains a need for the Ravens post the draft, and the question re this draft clock is, can Lane and Sarah upgrade them at wide receiver, and can Hibner and Cuevas make up for the loss of Likely? If they can find a solution at centre, keep Lamar Jackson healthy, obviously, and the answer to those 2 post-draft questions, wide receiver and tight end, is a positive one, the Ravens are going to be the ones to beat in the AFC North. That centre issue is quite possibly the most significant one in terms of how the Ravens go next season. On to the Cincinnati Bengals. Having traded away their first round pick to get Dexter Lawrence at defensive tackle, which was a great move, by the way, the Bengals' needs list was edge, nickelback, O-line, and safety. Cassius Howell at edge in round 2 looks like a good pick, and they also added Connor Lew and Brian Parker to the interior of their O-line, which could work out well. But third round selection Sicario Davis is an outside cornerback, not the nickel they needed, and wide receiver Colby Young in round 4 was hardly a need considering what they already have at wide receiver. Tight end Jack Endries and defensive tackle Landon Robinson are 7th-round picks with possible upside, but lack of action at nickelback and safety looks questionable given how low the Bengals' pass defense ranked last season. So they really need Howell to deliver as a pass rusher to help them in that regard, and they could have added an offensive tackle to give them more in that area too. I am left thinking how much, if at all, the Bengals have made themselves better via this draft, and I really don't think they've made much of a difference. So, in terms of where they stand in this division, that could leave them fighting the same failings as they had last season when they struggled. On to the Pittsburgh Steelers, the first of 2 teams who have to find a quarterback before the season gets underway. Yep, Aaron Rodgers keeps saying and keeps playing that game, I'll keep you dangling on the end of a string. So the Steelers, without any news from Rodgers pre-draft, which they asked for, took Drew Allar in round 3. He joins Mason Rudolph and Will Howard in a three-way contest for the quarterback role right now, but none of these seems likely to be the quality solution the Steelers need. So once again, Pittsburgh's prospects hang on Aaron Rodgers' decision to return or not. Now, all the indicators are positive that he will return, but it's a rightly risky strategy to play every off-season by teams looking at Rodgers. And how long can this go on? Both in terms of how long this off-season and how long year on year Rodgers seems to do this to teams. Anyway, moving on. Apart from that quarterback issue, guard, slot receiver, defensive tackle, offensive tackle, cornerback, and a kick returner were on the Steelers' to-do list in this draft. So taking offensive tackle Max Iheanacho and wide receiver Jeremy Bernard in the first 2 rounds take care of the offensive tackle and slot requirements. Cornerback Dalen Everett and guard Jennings Dunker got those done by the end of day 2 as well. That left defensive tackle, tight end, and the kick returner to do, and the kick returner came in round 4 in the form of Caden Wetjen, who could be really dangerous in that regard. I thought they could have added a succession plan and backup for 37-year-old Cam Hayward in this draft, but they chose not to. But no team goes far in the NFL without a viable starting quarterback. And although the Steelers have done some nice work this offseason, and it's now the Steelers don't have a starting quarterback. So over to you, Mr. Rogers. You've got all the cards again. How do you do it? You're a master of this game. Right, finally, the Cleveland Browns. The Browns, like the Jets in the East, have a ton of work to do to compete in this division. They have revamped their O-line via free agency, but more was needed in this area in this draft, most notably at tackle. So Spencer Farner in round one and Austin Barber in round three, along with interior O lineman Parker Brailsford in round five, mean they've given the O line all the attention they could give it. Casey Concepcion and Denzel Boston in rounds one and two are two good prospects that could certainly transform the lackluster Browns wide receiver core last season. Nickelback was a need, but safety was not. So, what role their other second round pick, Emmanuel McNeil Warren, will have, I'm not clear about. So, that pick for me, not in terms of McNeil Warren himself, but it's a questionable one in terms of need. Of their other picks, Green is a very intriguing one. Is he a good enough passer to be an NFL quarterback? Could he actually end up playing tight end or even wide receiver or some sort of gadget role? Um, he's a supreme athlete, and now it's for the Browns to work out how they can utilize those incredible athletic abilities in a way that makes him a steal in round six. Another preseason and major quarterback speculation has been on the cards in Cleveland, and that remains the question the Browns have to find a good answer to if they're to stand a chance of getting off the bottom of this division. Is it going to be Deshaun Watson back from the beyond? Shedder Sanders, is he going to get another crack at it? Or could Taylor Green even emerge from that room? Um, who knows? They also failed to find an added edge rusher to provide a really impactful partner for Myles Garrett, which for me was what they could have done with the pick that they used on McNeil Warren. So, in summary, the Steelers took advantage of their principal rivals both losing their starting quarterbacks for a significant amount of last season to steal the divisional title away, and now they are the ones in a quarterback bind unless Aaron Rodgers decides to return. And as I say, the soundings are that he will. The Browns had the best draft of these four and have done some nice free agency work too, but they also have a huge unanswered question at quarterback. The Steelers did draft well, though, and if Rodgers is back, this should be a keenly contested division between them, the Ravens, and the Bengals. The other two, the Ravens had a good draft, but the Bengals had not addressed some key areas of their roster, and that could well come back to bite them. If I was forced to call a favourite here, I would say the Ravens are in that spot. But assuming Rodgers returns, the Steelers are only just behind them, then the Bengals, and then the Browns, who may close the gap on the other three to some degree this off-season, but they would still finish bottom, I think. So that's the AFC North. Next up will be the AFC South. See you soon.